Hello, and welcome to RIME Entertainment Showcase with your hosts, Rita and Mel.
Hi, welcome to another episode of RIME Entertainment Showcase. Yay!
It's gone fast, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has gone really fast.
Yeah, just the other day we were speaking to you, and now
we're back.
Yeah, you can't get rid of us.
On your YouTube, on your IGTV, wherever we are.
So tell them about the show, Mel.
Okay, so we are speaking to Damon Naylor, who is an author, a songwriter, and a music producer. So yeah, extremely talented person that we're interviewing today, which I'm sure you're going to get a lot of inspiration.
That's the name of our game.
Maybe we should change the name of the show to Inspiration.
Nah,
we'll keep to RIME.
Yeah. But yeah, it's another great interview, and as we always say, you're going to get inspired. And you know, if you watch our shows, grab a pen and paper, take some notes, like it's a good way to remember, or better still, keep watching them and keep getting inspired.
Keep watching them and also get in touch with us as well.
Yeah,
we like
let us
to hear
know what
from
you think.
But anyway, without further ado, let's go to the interview with Damon Naylor. Hi everyone, welcome to the second part of RIME Entertainment Showcase. Today we have Damon Naylor, who's an author, a songwriter, and a music producer based in the United States. Welcome to the show, Damon.
Thanks for having me, ladies. I surely appreciate it. We're just so glad and delightful for the opportunity. Thanks so much.
It's a pleasure having you.
Yeah.
So as a songwriter, what inspires you the most when you're writing your lyrics?
Well, my inspiration comes from a variety of angles. Sometimes if I just hear a musical track, that will be my inspiration, and I just begin to write and get inspired to write. And I mean, it's like a divine connection, and words come to me, melodies come to me, hooks and choruses come to me, and I just begin to write. Some songs come through my experience. I get inspired by different events that have occurred. As a matter of fact, there are several songs. One is entitled Rebound off my former project entitled Conception and Rebirth. And I was inspired to write it when I was at one of the lowest points in my music career. I was actually thinking about throwing in the towel and giving up. And I'll never forget just feeling this prompting, this supernatural prompting saying, bounce back, don't give up. Bounce back, though you've had enough, bounce back, get up, get up. And I began to write that chorus. And the next thing I got more inspiration to write that song. And it's a very inspirational and uplifting song telling people just to bounce back from any traumatic experiences that you may face. You've been down, but it's time to get up. And, that was, like I said, from my personal experience. Then I had another kind of bad experience that occurred to me when I was at a ministry, and due to that experience I got inspiration to kind of tell my side of the story of what took place, and I ended up creating 2 songs with that. But then also just different concepts I like to address. There's a famous song off that same CD called Thug Story. Well, I deal with a person growing up in poverty in a drug-infested world and just how his life turns out. And of course, I know you guys probably have heard the new song L.I.F.E, and how it deals with life, addressing that concept. And it's so relevant for what we're going through now. But yes, my inspiration comes from a variety of angles. And sometimes I enter what's called a season of inspiration. And that's where I just heavily get inspired to write music, to write books or just different things. But whenever I feel that coming on me, I just begin to write and allow it to flow. But yes, my inspiration comes in a variety of ways.
Amazing. Yeah.
When you mentioned you have a season of inspiration, have you found that there's a particular time that it tends to happen? Or do you find it varies in itself?
And I'm glad you asked that, because I had read that somewhere that it happens like that in many cases. And I began to observe that. And what I found Mine takes place about like the fall through the winter, basically, was starting of winter. So like the end of the year, say around September or so on through the end of the year, that's when I'm heaviest. I'm receiving the heaviest influence. And what I did was retrace the books I've written, the latest books I've written, and I realized that that's when I really began to flow during that time of year, especially say around Thanksgiving and that time, going on into Christmas. And I've noticed I've released projects and did different projects at that time, and that's what I found. That's my season of inspiration when the fall season on through winter, basically beginning of winter. But yes.
Yeah, it's strange how that happens, because one of the reasons I ask is like the month of May for me in particular.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, for some reason I get this like almost this burst of spontaneity, and I want to just take action, and it's like this feeling of freedom and
a rebirth.
And it's like I haven't got a clue why May, but every time May hits, there's just something around that month that. So that's why when you mentioned that, I wanted to check if that was kind of similar for you as well.
Yes, it really is. And as I stated, I had to really step back and look at it and notice it, because before I never stumbled up on it. And with me now being conscious of it, I kind of prepare now. So it's like, okay, that time is coming. And then, I mean, I'm serious. It never fails. That's basically how I wrote my most recent book. It was about that time, and just out of nowhere, the concept for it came. So, but that's cool.
Amazing. Yeah. I think I need to do that research about myself now.
Yeah,
I know I tend to have it Sundays. I tend to get a boost of inspiration, but there must be a particular month of the year or a period of the year that gets me going. So interesting. So actually, leading on to your book, I actually wanted to ask a question. So you're an author of the book entitled Living, Loving and Leading. Can you share with us a little bit about the background of that book? What is it about?
Well, it's really about, look, if we were to just summarize it and simplify, life, love, and leadership. But in actuality, the book is broken up into basically 3 parts. So at the beginning, I deal with life and just finding what I call your who, and then fulfilling what I call your what. So your who is your identity, your what is your purpose. And I always try to connect it by saying, your who is your noun and your purpose is your verb. So as, for instance, we could use me as an author or writer. That's my noun. But so my purpose is to write, as a music producer. That's my noun. What is my purpose? To produce music. And what I help people to try to do is either, find one or the other. And normally if you find either your who or what, it will shed light on the other one. And you can make that connection in fulfilling your purpose and your call, what you were created to do. And we look at that, then I break down the functions of the mind, spirit, soul, and body. And that's the first part, dealing with that kind of that self-introspection, self-evaluation. And then we go on to the love portion, where I talk about, loving God, loving yourself, loving others. If you're in a relationship, married, loving your spouse. If you're a parent, loving your children. Just loving different people and different components and entities of society. And then, of course, the last part deals with leadership, and I address what I call the 10 laws for leading. And then I deal with finding and connecting, creating your right circle, surrounding yourself with the right people. I deal with what's called the golden goods, which are the good leadership characteristics. And then I deal with the fatal flaws, that are the bad leadership characteristics. And I explore several leadership styles and formats. And that's basically how the book is broken down. So like I say, we're dealing with life, love, and then leadership. And it's really, really inspirational.
Yes, definitely. Can we get a little insight into the leadership part? Is there one sort of what makes a good leader? Is there something that you can share with us?
Yes, and I really explore this in an exhausting manner in the book. It's vision is the key. So visualization. When you look at my 10 laws of leadership, I use those terms like that: visualization, activation, actualization. And I actually have as a commandment. So thou shalt be able to see. is visualization. When we analyze visualization, we're talking about, I say there are three sights that come with vision. The first is foresight, which is the ability to see ahead. As a leader, you have to see things before it happens. You have to see things when they're in a potential stage before they're in the actualization. You have to see before people. If you see it at the same time as everyone else, it's hard to lead. You have to see ahead. So that's foresight. And then you also have to have the broadened vision with that foresight, to have an open mind, to see wider than everyone else as well. And then there's insight. In other words, the ability to perceive, to discern, to see beneath the surface. As a leader, you can't just see everything on the surface. You have to be able to connect dots and see things that aren't sometimes visible to the naked eye. And that comes with the discernment and insight. And last is the oversight. The more foresight and insight you have, the better oversight, which is your ability to manage and supervise and govern others. If you have trouble seeing for yourself and seeing beneath the surface, then it's going to be definitely hard trying to see for others and manage them. And so, like I said, that's one of the key components of leadership, your vision. And connected to your vision is also your understanding how you articulate things. And those things, you know, they go together. But that's like the most critical component of leadership. As they say, the blind leaders of the blind, everyone falls in a ditch. So you have to have that vision. You have to see where you're going, especially if you're trying to lead other people. Please don't lead me and you don't know where you're going. You can't see where you're going. It's like anywhere becomes the destination. No, that's not good.
Yeah, absolutely. I love
great.
that. That's really, really good. Very inspiring. So when you're writing a book and then you're writing songs, you know, doing songwriting and authoring, do you have a similar approach to both of those styles, or how do you kind of differentiate when you're writing a book and songs?
With the books, what I've noticed, and you know, unbeknownst to me, I didn't know I was going to become an author. And what would happen, like I said, those seasons of inspiration, I would just get nuggets of wisdom. To give you a prime example, my first book is called The Great Taste of Success, 50 Potent Inspirational Proverbs. And what happened, I would just be doing whatever, and then I would just get this proverb, this profound statement, you know, like I said, divinely inspired, and I would just write it down. And the next thing you know, I had like 22 of them or 28 of them. And then like on one Saturday, I sat down, had a heavy inspiration on me, and I began to write, and I came up with 22. So I had a total of 50. Then I went back and just did the research to further expound on those profound statements. But I noticed with my writing, and I can look at each book that I've written, it's kind of like a process where I just compile the information. I continuously compile the information, and it's as though I have various puzzle pieces. And then when it comes to the time when it's time for completion, I'm able to just put all of the puzzle pieces together, and there I have the book. Initially, when I started doing songwriting, that's how it was. It would take me a while to write a song, but now I'm more mature with the gift. I know how to use it better. I know how to enter that flow. I can write a song in a sitting now, but it used to be the same process. But as I stated, you know, if I get the concept and I get the beat, it's kind of easier to write the music, I would say, because of the inspiration behind the beat. But as far as the actual writing, after getting the information, of course, I have to do the research. I have to make sure it's factual, that it's true. And it's just a little more to it when I'm actually writing a book as opposed to writing a song, you know, because for the most part, the song is entertainment, and you could, you know, say whatever it's all about, whatever you're trying to do, whether you're trying to inform or entertain. But it's a little, I would say it's much simpler than that, writing those compositions, the books and things of that nature. But
Amazing. Awesome.
Okay, so you currently have 3 singles out, and an EP called L.I.F E, I believe, which is coming. Is that actually coming out in September? Is that correct?
Yes.
So can you tell us a bit more about the singles and the album and the inspiration behind it?
Sure. Now, that's the funny thing about it. It's all about timing, I've found, as far as releasing different products, because even in looking at Living, Loving, Leading, I was working on another book, but then that book came out of nowhere, and it was time to push that one before the former book.
Yeah.
Same thing with this L.I.F E CD. What happened, I actually tried to release it in 2018, like 2 years ago, but it was just something about it I felt in my spirit. It wasn't time yet. It wasn't right. And so what I did, I didn't push it heavily. I just kind of gave a few people a little taste of it, kind of got their vibe, and then I just held back. But then all of a sudden, just this year, like I said, I got that divine prompting that this is the time, this is it. And as you listen to the songs, they're so relevant with what we're experiencing, and going through.
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying. Those songs were actually written years ago, but the relevance of them is now. The time is now. And so the 3 that I've released, I started off with L.I.F E, and then I released Cruising, which is a funky, R&B song. And we're basically talking about cruising around the U.S. So actually going global, I say at the end of it. But it's a really, really cool song. I think it'll resonate with people all over the world. And then the latest one I released on the 4th of July was America. And I'm just dealing with painting a picture of America, how you have these extremes. You have the rich, you have the poor, you have the free, you have the slave or whatever. And so just painting that picture of America, the Great Divide, and how we have all of these various components, and how it's just a complex place. But as I stated, these songs all are so relevant to what we're going through now. And especially when I release the next songs, you'll see the further relevance of it, because one I'll be releasing is called Pressure, and it's actually a singer on it. I'm just doing a small part on the hook, but she's just talking about all the things that are going on that are so relevant now, the financial situations and just the pressure of life. And as I'm stating, this is so relevant for right now, and it's really resonating with a lot of people. We're getting a lot of saves, a lot of downloads, a lot of listens.
Right.
So we're just excited and happy to God for that. That's a blessing upon that.
Yeah,
timing is everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think one of the messages that is coming through in the interview so far is about listening to your inner self and that guidance as well that you're getting. Because, as you said, you could have put it out in 2018 and it wasn't as relevant as it is now, which would, probably inspire people and help them through a lot more. So that's what I think, that's what we're really getting from this interview. And what I hope, definitely our viewers will be getting about. You don't have to rush. Do you get that feeling? Like it's not about rushing and getting it out there. It's about listening to when the time is right for you, even though it may take longer than what you envisioned.
Yes, and that is so true, because the key to it is patience. That's one thing I've learned, because I've been doing these things for years, and patience is the key. I always tell people, if you look at and you analyze different art, I would say musical artists especially, oftentimes, their first CD is like really good, but sometimes they never ever reach and make it back to that place of having a CD that's as good as that one.
Exactly.
And oftentimes it's because they sign a deal and now they have to rush it. They're on a timetable. They have a deadline now. And now they have to just, instead of waiting and allowing those seasons of inspiration to come, they have to force it. They have to just get in there. Okay, here's a track. Okay, all right, and I got to come up with something. But when you allow it to come to you, basically, and then you just flow with it, you align yourself with it. And as you were saying, you have the intuition, you sense it and you flow, and you basically, going with the momentum, then everything works out much better. And I think the key to it is taking your whatever career that you pursue. Being an entrepreneur is the best thing, because you are in control of the timing. Because once you sign a contract or something like that, and they make you, and you kind of basically become a slave in a way, because now you have to produce and you have to have it by here. You have to have this many, and they get to tell you, okay, this is good. No, we don't like this. And but with me, since I have control over all of that, I've been able to evolve into a totally different artist than the one I began as. And so my message now is much relevant to a wider audience than it initially was. It was kind of initially I was more or less, just to the church or almost the Christians, but now my music is relevant to everybody of all faiths, religions, gender, whatever. So it transcends. But, a lot of artists aren't able to reach that point because they're not allowed to. They don't have the freedom. And I think that is critical, having that patience and also having the freedom to express yourself in the way that you want to.
And also it gets to that point where, we have, as humans, we've got this unlimited art and creativity within us. And then once we put it into the hands of someone else, it then becomes controlled and it's no longer art. And then you're just like, okay, now I'm just doing it to make a buck here and there. And it's just because I have to do it, not because I want to do it or I feel it's the need to do it.
And that's funny because it applies in different arenas. Just a really quick story. I have a buddy of mine. I'm a former teacher, and so we taught in the school system for years. And one day I saw her, and I she was talking to me and telling me she started doing photography, and basically she was doing it on the side at first, just for fun. She loved it. She was passionate about it. She was like, so I'm about to do it, as a job, as a business. I was so excited for her. Fast forward about a year and a half later, I was like, how's the photography business going? She's like, I was like, what? She was like, I stopped. I was like, what happened? She said, when it became a business, it stopped being fun. So like you said, it became about that buck. Okay, now I have to take pictures because I have to feed my family with this money. I can't just do it as a leisure and as a luxury. And she said, once it transitioned into that, so she ended up getting back into teaching and just getting an actual job, but just doing it on the side as a pleasure now, back to the leisure, instead of having that added pressure now of having to make that money. But that makes a difference. That really makes a difference.
Definitely.
Sure. So we like to ask our guests for them to share 3 tips that they would give to those who are probably like yourself, who are entrepreneurs, who are singer-songwriters, who are looking to get into that creative field but are unsure of themselves. What 3 tips would you share with the audience who are probably struggling in that arena?
Well, the first thing I would say is don't be afraid. Don't be fearful, because what I know, as we were talking about, all of us have some form of creation or creativity rather within us. But what stifles and hinders most people is that fear, the fear of rejection, the fear of failure, the fear that, okay, people are going to reject this. And I know I cover this in my book, and I talk about how the first inventors, imagine if they would have just stopped at the fear of rejection, the fear of ridicule, and just stopped. We wouldn't have most of the inventions we have because everyone thought they were crazy when they first started. Everyone laughed at them, made fun of them. Oh, this is not going to work, whatever. But they got past the fear of rejection, the fear of failure. And to me, I always try to teach people that there's really no such thing as failure. Even if you tried and it fails, just chalk it up as a learning lesson. Keep it moving. Move on to the next thing. And when you get that boldness and the bravery to do that, then there's no limit to what you can create, what you can form, as long as you get that mindset. And so that's the first thing. Don't be fearful. Just be brave. The other thing is, especially if you're a songwriter or a musician, artist, whatever you are, begin to do it kind of behind the scenes. Practice it. Work on it. As you write, keep you a notebook, a pen and pad available at all times, because that inspiration will come. And just keep writing as you get inspired. And as you continue to compile that information, later on, it'll make sense and you'll get all of the puzzle pieces and you'll know exactly what to do with it. But even though you're behind the scenes and you're not out front, just keep working. Just keep perfecting your craft. Keep practicing it, And then last but not least is just launch it. It's time to launch, Be brave, practice behind the scenes, and then put it out there. And I think it's all about perseverance, because sometimes when you put it out there, the human nature is we go to our loved ones and our friends, which we think are the safest people, but in some cases, woo, they could be the worst critics, right? Man,
And then
just
why did I do that?
yeah. But the flip side is once you get out there and you succeed, oh, all of those people, they gravitate to you. Oh, they're happy. All of a sudden it becomes we. We did it. Like, how did we? Where were you? Remember, you were talking about me when I first started and everything. But yes, have that bravery to execute it, to try it, and those were the steps I had to go through with everything I'm doing. And I'm doing so many things. But after I got that process and I got that mindset, it has encouraged me and empowered me to do whatever I feel, God is calling me to do and that I feel I'm gifted to do. And another mind frame I use is the word no. I use it as an acronym, and it means next option, new opportunity, not over. So whenever you get a no, just know that means move on to the next option. There's a new opportunity because it's not over. And if you can pick up that mind frame, you will be unstoppable. You will be unstoppable.
That's great.
But yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So, it's been so inspirational. I've got so much nuggets of wisdom.
Oh,
I wish we bought a pen and paper.
I know, we'll start scribbling all of these things. For our viewers, where can they hear more about Damon Naylor? Now, this is your opportunity to plug all of your platforms here.
Okay, good deal. Well, I always lead people or direct people. I have a comprehensive website. It's called DaRiL.org, DARIL.org. And there I have a lot of the links to the other sites. But I also have a site named after my book, livinglovingleading.net. And you can go there. It has all of the information about the book. And of course, my book is on Amazon, and it's also available through the site. So you just look up Living, Loving, Leading, and it'll pop up. And I just recently did a music site. It's RIL music.co or .co. So if you want to go there just to look at the music, you can go there as well. And of course, my music is available on Spotify, iTunes, all of your major downloading and streaming sites. So we're all over the place with that. For as Instagram is Damon, DAMON .Nailer, NAILER. Twitter is at DaRiL, DARIL, and the number 1. And then Facebook, you can just go to Damon, DAMON .Nailer, NAILER. But I also have one for my music, which is DaRiL, DARIL music. And so, like I said, those are the places you'll basically find me. But if you Google my name, so much will come up as far as articles, interviews, music, just the whole, gamut there will come up if you just Google my name, Damon Naylor, and everything else will pop up. But yes, those are the places you can find me.
Perfect. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have one last question. The theme running through this interview has been life.
Yes.
And obviously inspiration.
Yeah.
And time. What does life mean to you? I mean, I guess this is also kind of your final message to our audience as well. But what does life mean to you, and what would you like to share as the final message about life?
Well, life is just basically thriving and not just merely surviving and existing, because especially what we're going through now as a world, I think so many people are no longer really living. And that's why this is so relevant. The music as far as life, and then living, loving, leading, all at the core is life. And we were created to thrive and to blossom, to produce, to serve, to help, to build, to create. And when you lose life, you cease to do those things.
Yeah.
And what's happening, people are resorting to just being fearful, just sitting back, just scared, just waiting on whatever to happen. But we have to be proactive. We could either take one of 3 stances when it comes to activity. We could be inactive, where we do nothing. We can be reactive, where we allow the circumstances and situations to dictate to us what we do. And then we could be proactive, where we get ahead and we practice self-efficacy, where we put forth the work, we put forth the effort, and we take more control over our lives. And to me, that's what living is all about. Dictating your life. I call it writing your own narrative. You know, I say be the plot of your own course, the navigator of your own path. And that's what living is all about. If we're not able to do that, then you're kind of just existing. You're just going through life however things happen. You know, okay, if it happens, good. If not, okay, you know, whatever. But when we decide to live and to thrive and blossom, that's when we decide to take the bull by the horns. We decide to take the reins. We decide to take the pen and basically pen our lives and become, you know, what we feel we are to become and we were created to become. And that's what life is all about to me. And for me, if I couldn't do that, I mean, life would be stressful. I'm just so blessed and amazed that I'm positioned to do what I love and to love what I do. And I always say, if you can't have those two, you need to find something new. And that's what it's all about. Finding your passion, finding your purpose. And in doing so, you will live by default. You will live. And, you know, thank God for monetary gains. But at the end of the day, I'm just so satisfied with fulfilling what I was, you know, my call and fulfilling my divine purpose and being who I was intended and created to be. Yeah. That's all that matters. And if you can find that, you found life. You will be happy. You know, if you can connect with your creator and just connect with your purpose, then you will get that inspiration and that life and that energy to live and to be a light and a blessing to others. But yeah.
Love that. It's beautiful.
Beautiful message. Absolutely. Perfect. Yeah.
Perfect ending to the interview.
Absolutely.
And we could continue longer if time permits.
I know. It's been great. I mean, it goes by so fast too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Damon, for being Damon. Sorry, where's my tongue twisted?
That's okay.
I'm so inspired of getting my tongue twisted. Thank you so much, Damon, for being a guest on the show. And again, viewers, head over to his website. We're going to put all the information in the show. Listen to his song live, read the book, Living, Loving and Leading, get those nuggets of wisdom. And yeah, again, thank you so much, Damon. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Rita and Mel. I've enjoyed it. Appreciate you. I hope the listeners are blessed by what they receive. Thank you guys so much. It's been great.
Thank you. Okay. Welcome back after that amazing interview. Guess what? We were inspired. Yep. Were you? I'm sure you were. If you weren't, you need to watch it again.
There was some big golden nuggets in there.
Big golden nuggets. Huge golden nuggets.
Definitely.
And so much essence of time, you know, living your life,
Patience.
being that driving force, patience. Mindset, leadership.
Yeah.
Oh, so much.
And it was... We're actually lost for words.
We really are lost for words. But if we're lost for words, that means you guys need to follow him. So at Damon.Naylor on Instagram, at DaRiL1, DaRiL1 on Twitter. Again, we'll be plugging all of the information into the description. Yeah. Again, for his website, where to get his book, where to download his music. So much information for a super talented man.
Yeah.
And again, just those golden nuggets of wisdom that we love to hear. You're still
it's still all going on in the head.
But it was just so good and so delighted. We were just so delighted to meet him.
It was a great pleasure, and I'm sure you enjoyed it as well as we enjoyed it interviewing him.
Absolutely. And if you want to hear more about our upcoming guests, please don't forget to follow us on Instagram at RIME Entertainment Official and at sisters_in_rhyme. And how do we spell rhyme? RIME. Okay, and we're also on Twitter as well, so at RIMEent, rhyme_ent. And follow us, get in touch with us, tell us how inspired you've been since watching all of our guests on the show. And we just love to hear from you. But anyway, I'm going to zip it for now.
I'm just going to still mull over all those things I've learned.
I know, me too. See you in August.
Take care.
Bye.
L-I-F to the E-E. L-I-F to the E-E. L.I.F. to the E. L.I.F. to the E. L.I.F. to the E. I wish that it could be so stress-free. L.I.F. to the E. Does anybody out there wanna trade with me? Yeah. L.I.F. to the E. I wish that it could be so stress-free. L.I.F. to the E. Is anybody out there getting played like me? When I think about life, yo, it's so deep. So bitter, so sweet, unique. That's why we need the master's hand to lead us, guide us, help us understand why so much pain and misery, why so much greed and poverty, why so much bondage, no liberty, why it feels like we're in a penitentiary.